Hello lovelies! Did you know that Carolyn Bessette Kennedy didn't wear key items that fashion icons throughout history have worn on repeat? After going through a deep dive on dozens of her looks, I have identified some of the things that simply were missing from her wardrobe and how she made this work and made this part of her signature style. This is my second video on Carolyn Bessette Kennedy, and before we move on to another fashion icon, I wanted to make this one to wrap up our study on her. And make sure to drop in the comments who you'd like me to feature next. I love analyzing and celebrating women of all types through different outfits throughout time. And don't forget to stay to the end of the video where I'll be sharing a quick list of her capsule wardrobe must-haves that she wore on repeat. I'm Ziba and I'm so happy you're here. I love finding ways for you to shop your closet, find your personal style, and also cull through wearable trends. Make sure to hit the subscribe button for more fashion tea. The first thing that Carolyn Bessette Kennedy didn't wear is so shocking to me because it's what stylists and editors and fashion experts always tell us to do, and that is accessorize. And one of the categories that she left out entirely for the most part was jewelry. I was hard pressed to find images of her that had much more than maybe a simple gold chain, a single strand pearl necklace, every now and again a leather Cartier watch. But other than that, there really isn't a lot of jewelry in her repertoire. And this is a stark contrast from her mother-in-law, Jacqueline Kennedy, which very much used jewelry to its fullest potential. Not overdid it, but you certainly saw her using it in key looks. There's even stories of Jackie Kennedy gifting her a beautiful Van Cleef ribbon diamond necklace that was never seen on her in public, which I think is absolutely insane because most people use jewelry and they wear jewelry, including celebrities and normal people. You're gonna wear them when you're gonna be seen, be photographed at an event, to shine. And that was just not her style. In the different memoirs that I've read about her, friends would comment that that was very intentional. She didn't prefer to draw attention to herself with jewelry and in that way. It's quite mystifying, but she managed to put together these outfits that captured our imagination and propelled her to icon status without using jewels, which I cannot relate to. I come from the school of thought that jewelries really help enhance your beauty and that help make a very simple outfit stand out and uniquely your own. And I was also brought up around the notion that nothing quite says I love you like a nice piece of jewelry. Let me know your thoughts below. I would love to hear how jewelry plays within your own toolbox of accessories, and if for you it's more of like an emotional kind of like possession. Is it something that you use every day? Leave it for special occasions. I have increasingly become more of like I wear my jewelry every day. I feel like if I have it, I'm not gonna just store it. It's kind of like nice bags and nice shoes. You have to wear your stuff. But in any case, this is a point that makes Carolyn very original because I don't see a lot of style icons in the same category. The second thing that Carolyn ever wore was, which isn't that shocking, I call her the mother of quiet luxury because looking back at all of her catalog of outfits and kind of even her style evolution in the media within about a span about 7 years, she never really had an identifiable logo on her. And this was such a deliberate choice because looking back, she didn't want to bring attention to herself with jewelry. She certainly didn't want to be a walking advertisement for a brand. And story has it that even when she went skiing and she bought a Prada suit, and I think a lot of times people buy Prada suits for skiing, not because they're in the most amazing quality of skiing that is available. Otherwise you probably go something like Montclair or North Face. Really asked Prada to take the label off so that it wasn't detectable. Now, in my opinion, that's like another kind of eccentricity, right? To go after like the Prada ski suit and then to ask for it to be removed. It's like, why not just buy a ski suit that's already like low-key, no logos? But in any case, and this is standard throughout collage of images, you really don't see a logo. The only exception is probably her Birkin 40, which you know, was as close as she got at kind of like showcasing a label. And this is something that's remarkable given that she worked at Calvin Klein. And the other thing that really surprises me about her not wearing is number 3, she didn't wear head-to-toe runway looks or head-to-toe designer looks. And because she worked at Calvin Klein for so long and she had access and money for the best brands. She could have easily rocked an all runway look any day of the week, if not every day of the week, and instead was very deliberate about mixing and matching high and low pieces, and therefore concocting a look that was unique to her personal style. I think this takes a lot of gall to have the confidence. I'm not gonna show label, I'm not gonna wear a head to toe piece. I am mixing and matching different things that I like. And there's a really great book on her that's called Carolyn Bessette Kennedy, A Life in Fashion, where they interviewed some of her friends. Friends attested to this focus on always making the look her own and making sure that she incorporated labels that were less obvious. Again, admire the discipline immensely, because if I had full access to runway looks, I'd be like, yeah, let's do the Chloe, spring 2024, bring it on down. And with the combination of not wearing jewelry, all logos, or head to toe runway looks, this to me says, this is somebody who was inherently confident and didn't want to use any of these three assets as a crutch for her personal style. And I think that that is something that we hear a lot of wise editors and stylists talking about, and I try to share here on my channel as well, is that you can't buy yourself to better style, and you can only work on it and foster it. It is a craft. It's kind of like working out. You can't really outsource working out. You can outsource basically everything else, from meals to child rearing. But if you want a certain body, you need to work out, right? You need to train for it. You need to eat a certain way. And I think this same thing about style is true. You have to do the work yourself. Even if you do buy the right pieces for yourself and you get styling help and you watch all the YouTube videos on styling, if you don't practice your outfits and if you don't do some of the internal work yourself of developing the confidence to rock the outfits and to go out in them, then it's never gonna quite come together. And I think that's the one thing that people really miss Carolyn's style is, I've talked about this a lot on TikTok and Instagram. And by the way, if you're not following me there, I share daily videos and snippets on everything fashion. But a lot of the feedback that I've heard back is, well, anything will look good on her because she was tall, blonde, skinny, rich, all the things, right? And while that certainly wasn't hurting her to have all of these things in her arsenal, I also know plenty of people that have those things on paper and don't carry themselves in the same way. They don't kind of fill the room with their presence and energy. They're not this magnetic force field when they enter a room, and the same outfit, even if they might have the same body measurements, isn't gonna look the same on them because they didn't have that internal kind of strength and confidence that it takes. On the other hand, sometimes you have somebody who on paper doesn't look like they're going to steal the show, but they walk into a room, they might be shorter, they might be out of shape, they might, a million things come to mind that are different than Carolyn. And you have the same kind of reaction to them because they have that fierceness and that magnet and that confidence that can only come from doing the internal work. So I think that is her big style secret. But getting back to the things that she didn't wear, the fourth thing that I noticed that she did not wear are mixed prints. I love mixed prints. Let me know how you feel in the comments. There's nothing that gets me quite as worked up as a polka dot, stripes and leopard print, something kind of funky, plaid and floral. I love it all. She did not do this at all. And if she did wear print, which was occasionally, it would be one and it would be the moment. So the one that comes to mind is the beautiful leopard coat that was pictured so many times, and just talk about mob wife hysteria. This was mob wife meets rich mom look. But I love the story with this coat, which she actually gifted to a woman who worked at JFK Jr.'s magazine, George. You can go ahead and take the coat. It was for a date or something. Keep it. I've already been photographed too many times in the media and they're gonna start making fun of me. So it's funny, even though she had this kind of aloofness about her, she was still so aware of the narrative and kind of her being in a fishbowl essentially. So she gave this coat away, and I think it was last year, and I talked about it in a video about a year ago, where this coat was being auctioned at Sotheby's by the woman she gave it to, and somebody got it for $33,000, which is absolutely insane. Maybe not as much as the 10 million Birkin bag, right? But but still very impressive. And the other couple times that she was photographed in prints were these two instances with a floral print and a kind of like geometric print, and that was kind of the shining moment. No extra mixing of busyness. The fifth thing she didn't wear was heavy makeup and fussy hair. So there was no like, you know, contrived beach waves, like super straight, like, you know, pin straight hair that looks like it's been ironed 1,000 times. The hair was very, I'm trying to emulate it today. Just fell how it fell. You just kind of like, imagine that she kind of rolled out of bed, gave it a quick brush, and then that was just her hair. And her ex-boyfriend, Michael Bergen, who wrote a whole book about her, and it's full of a lot of really controversial things. And some critics have said that if he actually really loved her, then he probably wouldn't have written the book, which I've got to agree with. You do get the sense of knowing her better after reading it, but one of the things that he mentioned was that she would take 7 minutes to get ready. She was always like kind of in a rush, walked super fast, was like kind of like half eating a bagel, on the run type of thing. And her makeup and hair kind of reflect that. It was very natural. It was always pristinely colored blonde, and the palest like wheat blonde color ever, which was an evolution over time, because when we first see her dating John, she has kind of like a more auburn, like golden blonde look, and then over time it starts getting like paler and like more buttery. And so that was certainly an evolution. There was never a ton of eye makeup or smoky eye, fake eyelashes. She did love a good red lip. Her skin always looks very luminous and perfect, really. I mean, just very hydrated, almost like she's got this highlighter over it. So that was her thing, to not wear heavy makeup or fussy hair. And now, as promised, a quick list of the items that made up her capsule wardrobe were: number one, a button-down shirt. This was seen kind of time and time again, also on kind of what it seemed to be dressier occasions, as well as just very casual with jeans. In terms of jeans, straight leg to flare kicks were very much in a repertoire. There are a couple of pictures of her with kind of more of a baggier denim, but it was kind of like a boyfriend jean of the 90s, so very quintessential of the decade. Slip dresses, crew necks, cashmere turtlenecks, very much in the rotation. The other blazer, there's this one pair of corduroy pants that she was photographed so much in that it's insane. Like, so much. And I actually found a really great pair by Quince that are almost identical. So if you want this look for fall, make sure to grab them. And in terms of shoes, the loafers, sling back heels, and knee-high boots, as well as flip-flops, were definitely her picks. In terms of accessories, again, she kept it super light. There's one Hermes belt that she was spotted in, like getting off a plane, oval sunglasses, Cartier watch, and of course the belted Birkin 40 that has made history as well. If you want a complete list of this whole capsule, which is so fall friendly, I'll put it in the description below. If you haven't watched the first video yet, make sure to check it out. And if you learned something today, make sure to hit the subscribe button.